I'm joined alongside Mr. Joe Gentile and Mr. Jonathan Donnelly. How you guys doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Thank you very much for asking. I wanted fantasy football this week. We're not going to get into it just yet, but I'm feeling pretty good.
You wanted to throw that in right at the beginning of the show, didn't you?
I mean, if you have the opportunity, why not? Right?
True. It's going to be a good show, boys.
Yeah. Something I'm not feeling too great about, though, is the Celtics.
Yeah.
Who is feeling good about the Celtics?
Down 3-1.
I mean, it's a little hard to.
Yeah.
They played a great game 3. I give them that. You know.
Tough game 3.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they were up. You know, it's the same old story, same old song and dance. You know, they were up by 20, and they had control of the game. And
right.
I feel like they almost blew it, but at least they came out with a win.
Yep.
You know.
True. They have a lot to prove though. These next 3 games, if they even want to get to a game 7, it's must win mode. It's must win mode right now. The Heat have played tremendous. I'm not going to knock the Heat. They've clawed back from double-digit deficits, game 1 and game 2. They've had more heart. We had a fight in the locker room after game 2. We blew that 17-point lead. We came out with fight in game 3 and we won. But then we had a few days off. Usually it's every other day. But we went from Sunday to Wednesday or Saturday to Wednesday. That's a lot of time off when you have momentum. And I think it hurt them having the time off last night.
So, you know, I agree that, the Heat have been outplaying the Celtics a little bit.
Right.
I don't agree necessarily, though, with the fight. You know, like, I think that the fire was good for the Celtics. I think they need a little bit of fire in their bones. I mean, Brad Stevens, he's very calm, cool, and collected,
right.
Which is great. But sometimes as a coach, you just have to show a little bit of fire. You know, when you make that crucial 3-pointer with 2 minutes left in the game, you have to show emotion,
right.
Positive, and you have to stick up for your players and stick up for the calls. I mean, we saw that in Game 4 with Scott Foster. He was not making any calls in favor of the Celtics. And Brad
right.
Stevens, he was just sitting on the sidelines like, well, okay, I guess we'll get him next time.
Yeah.
You just can't do that.
Right. No, exactly. And Stevens has to be blamed here a little bit. I mean, he's not going to get fired, but he does have to share some of the blame with the players. And the fact that we're down 3-1 without Giannis in the finals, we don't have to face Toronto in the Eastern Conference Final. We're the 3 seed this year, and we're the top seed remaining. And at this rate, one more win by the Heat, and they're a 5 seed going to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
It's right. It doesn't. I don't know when the last time a 5 seed made it to the NBA Finals, but because this year is so different, it's unique. It's the bubble. It's true test of mental strength when it comes to these players because they haven't seen anything outside the bubble in months.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that I don't know how the Celtics recover from this. I think the Heat will advance to the NBA Finals. I hate to say it, but they deserve to win too. They deserve to go on as of right now. But we'll see what happens in Game 5. You win Game 5, we're only down 3-2 in the series, and it's a whole new game. But obviously, you lose Game 5, we go home.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unprecedented year, especially with coronavirus. But at the very least, if we're going to be playing a 5 seed, I figure we would at least put up a fight.
Right.
I'm sure the games have been close, but it's almost like we've given up.
Right.
Towards the end of the quarters. I mean, and Game 4, there was no fight in anybody. I mean, Jason Tatum didn't even score any points until the 3rd quarter. It was ridiculous.
Right, exactly.
And we could be playing the Bucks right now, who are red hot right before quarantine.
Right.
The fact that we're playing the Heat and the fact that the Celtics are blowing this perfect opportunity to be able to make it to the NBA Finals. Winning the NBA Finals is a different thing, but at least make it to the NBA Finals, that's huge.
Right.
And I agree with you. A large part of that is Brad Stevens.
Yep.
Donnelly, what do you think? Brad Stevens to blame? Is somebody else to blame?
Not really sure.
Basketball is not his
You've been
his
paying
first.
attention.
I mean, you're fit.
Okay, folks, if you're watching, we do have a couple of technical difficulties right now. We're trying to work through the show.
I believe I did figure it out.
We're fixing those technical difficulties, but
If I believe I figured it out. I know I was in the spotlight for a little bit. Sorry, boys. I don't know how I did that, but I think I fixed it. I think you can see all three of us now. I think we're good to go. We're talking Celtics. Any comments, concerns, anything from the fans, please let us know. We will answer comments. Donnelly, I believe you have the live stream up, so whatever questions pop in. And we have a lot to talk, though, besides Celtics, such as football, such as baseball. We're going to dive into it all today.
I feel like this is part of the problem with being a communication major, though, is we graduated in 2014 and 2015 as communication majors, but technology has evolved so much in these past 5 years that we're trying to keep up.
We're still rookies. It's changing every day. It's changing every day.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't know what Zoom was 8 months ago, but now I still don't know what Zoom is.
I know, right?
But we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, as we go along. Each and every day is different.
Absolutely. And like Joe said, be sure to like, comment, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, be sure to follow our Instagram page, be sure to like our Facebook page, where we are currently airing right now. So, let's go back to the Celtics, I guess.
We are not off to a good start today.
So, Donnelly, well, you were trying to fix the issues. We're talking about Brad Stevens and saying he's basically to blame for the Celtics' woes, right? And we're saying that the Heat are putting up more of a fight and that the Celtics are basically squandering this opportunity. My question for you is, who do you believe is to blame for the Celtics' woes right now?
I think it's the whole team. I don't think that they're playing well together. I mean, you got all these problems. No one's, making the right plays when it's necessary. Just like a couple games back, making that terrible shot at the end. People were thinking for themselves instead of playing as a team, and that's where you get those problems from.
Do you blow up the team, though? Do you say move some pieces around, trade some people away? Is it the team chemistry?
Right now, that's not going to help anything at the moment.
Well, right.
Maybe next year it could help out.
Right.
But then again, you got to look at it like what Johnny said. We had this whole virus thing.
Yep.
You get that 3-4 month break, I think it was.
Yep.
I mean, that's almost like playing a whole new season.
Right.
This isn't even. Yeah. So this isn't even the same team as the regular season.
Right.
It's a whole nother style of play. It's just not the same.
I mean, I feel like every game it's a little bit different for somebody to blame. I mean, the first game you can blame that on Kemba Walker being cold for the first 3 quarters, going 2 for 10. The second game, Jason Tatum trying to shoot up the ball when he had no right to do that or no business to do that at all. That game should not have even gone into overtime. Game 3, good win, but still you can blame Brad Stevens. And Game 4, it's a little bit of everybody. It's Marcus Smart, falling into those fouls and getting fouled out in those last 2 minutes when we really needed his defense the most. It's Jason Tatum not scoring until the third quarter. It's Brad Stevens with poor coaching. I mean, it's not just one guy.
Right. And I mean, with Tatum, though, going scoreless in the first half, you can make one basket. I mean, you don't get an open look. You don't drive it to the hoop. What is he doing? He went 0 for 10 in the first half. 0 for 8, I think it was. And it just he caught fire in the second half. It was 28 points in the second half, but it was a little too late.
Credit for that. I agree.
Hero on Miami Heat had 37 points, and he was consistent all game. He wasn't playing catch up like we were in the second. We were down 6 points, 8 points at the beginning of the third quarter. And I mean, it's a mind game too. If you have the lead at halftime in a game you must have, that goes further. And we had to play catch up, and it was too late. So we'll see what happens Game 5 tomorrow night. I don't know how much we have left in the tank. Which Celtics team is going to show up? Is it going to be the one who fights or the one who's going to lay down?
And it's funny you mentioned Tyler Hero too. Some interesting facts about Tyler Hero is that he has scored the second most points of any player under the age of 21
Crazy.
in a playoff game. Second only to the illustrious Magic Johnson.
He's got a bright future. He's got a crazy bright future. Whether he stays on the Heat or he grows in popularity and strength, and he takes his talent somewhere else. I don't know where he's going to end up. I mean, he's from University of Kentucky. He was under John Calipari's system.
Yeah.
So he's no slacker when it comes to a D1 school and trying to earn a spot on a team. He was drafted high, too.
Yep.
And he's blossoming.
Drafted right after the Celtics pick, actually, number 15 overall.
Yep, we could have had him.
Yep.
So
the thing about Tyler Hero too is that he really takes advantage of those fast break threes.
Yep.
And he always knows how to get an open look and take advantage of that open look too. I mean, he is deadly from 3-point range. And the Celtics just don't know how to guard him.
Right. Yep. No,
I mean,
they don't. And they were chasing him all night. I mean, last night, Hero got to pull up wherever he wanted to. And it was like, I think they compared it to the ocean, throwing a rock from the beach. I mean, no matter what he was chucking up, it was going in. So he had one of those hot nights. Hopefully we contain him tomorrow night. And hopefully there's a game 6, because then there's life.
I mean, game 2, he kept beating the Celtics on the turnovers, hitting a pull-up 3. I mean, and that was it.
Right.
And that was pretty much the entire game. And then game 4, I mean, I believe it was 19 turnovers that the Celtics had all game.
Something like that.
And then in the fourth quarter, the Heat didn't have any. So the
Right.
Celtics are they're making sloppy mistakes. The Heat are taking advantage of them. They're hitting Hero for that pull-up 3.
Right. And to the credit of the coaching, too, Spoelstra has a couple championships to his name when he coached D. Wade and LeBron, 2012, 2013. So is that an advantage for him over Brad Stevens, who doesn't have a championship yet?
Even if you had asked me 2 weeks ago, I don't know if I would have necessarily agreed. But WEEI recently had the opinion or talked about how Eric Spoelstra is a better coach than Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
Joe, do you agree?
In certain situations. Right now, he looks like a clear-cut favorite to be a better coach. I think Stevens, though, after the altercation in the locker room after game 2, Stevens pulled over the leaders, the stars of the team, Smart, Walker, Tatum, Brown. They all gathered together like, hey, all right, let's refocus. We know we need game 3 because no team has ever come back from 3-0 deficit in basketball. And so they knew game 3 was a must-win. Okay, so he did a great job coaching there. But game 4, they kind of laid an egg. And if Tatum's in a shooting slump like he was in the first half, why don't you pull him? I mean, just let him rest up. I mean, refocus. Granted, he came out in the second half and had 28, but maybe you left Tatum in too long in that situation. I mean, Hayward's back, but he said he was exhausted after game 3. So how much health does Hayward have after being gone a month? And so it's a lot of question marks going into game 5.
I think it's taking a little bit. I think the key to the Celtics' success is taking a little bit of pressure off of Jason Tatum, maybe giving it to Jaylen Brown. I mean, one of the best shots of the night by the Celtics was Jason Tatum's corner pull-up 3.
Yep.
To put the Celtics without, I believe it was at that point 3 points.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, maybe dishing it out to Jason Tatum and looking for the outside shot. I mean, instead of putting it all on Tatum's back to perform. I mean, like you said, if he's not going to make good shot selections, he's not going to shoot well.
Right.
I mean, even if he did get 28 points in the second half, 0 points in the first half. This is a lot more.
Do you think Celtics win game 5?
I don't think so.
Donnelly?
I think the Heat have them outmatched at this point. And it's going to be close. It's
Right.
going to be another 5-point game probably, but I don't know. Donnelly, I want to hear your opinions. First off, do you think Eric Spoelstra is a better coach than Brad Stevens?
Not really sure.
He's going to chime more in for football. I guarantee it. I think Donnelly. Here's a question you can't answer though. Do you think the Celtics win tomorrow? Do you think they stay alive and force a game 6?
You know, I don't think that they're actually going to win tomorrow. I don't think they're going to make it through this one. I think they've had too many issues, and it's too late to work on those.
Yep.
And too late to fix those. There's some things that just don't get fixed overnight, and I don't think that they're going to be able to win tomorrow.
I mean, I'll play devil's advocate, and I'll be a little positive, I guess, based on the fact that after a loss in game 2, we learned that the Celtics do have fight, that they did have fight in a must-win situation. Tomorrow's a must-win situation. I think they can pull one out, but they need to be able to hold on to a lead that they have struggles with game 1 and game 2. And if you're in a shooting slump, find the open man. Don't try to keep shooting like Tatum was, because then it digs you a hole. I think Stevens has to be the better coach tomorrow, too. Spoelstra has been throughout the series. So if they have a chance to win, Stevens needs to step up.
I agree with Donnelly, though. I think if the Celtics manage to win Game 5, considering it's been so close,
right,
I don't think they have enough fire in them for Game 6. And I think losing the series ultimately could set off a fire in the Celtics and say, well, we really have to want it more. We have to make better decisions, and we have to work more as a team.
Right.
Or else this is going to be all she wrote.
Yep.
I mean, this is what, the second straight year that they made the Eastern Conference Finals?
And this year,
this
year is a big disappointment if they don't make it to the NBA Finals. So, it paves the way. No Paul George, no Kawhi, no Giannis, no defending champs. I mean, the path was there for the taking. They only had to overcome LeBron, possibly in the finals. So we'll see what happens though.
We will see. I'm not feeling great though.
Yeah.
Donnelly, any last words?
I hope they win for the sake of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, go Seas.
John Donnelly, everybody. Let's see. Moving on to our next topic. Let's talk about fantasy football for a little bit before we immediately dive into the Patriots.
Okay.
Now, the thing that's so interesting about fantasy football is that Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, and Michael Thomas all have a couple of things in common. Number one, according to ESPN Fantasy Football, they were all ranked in the top 5 before the beginning of the season.
Right.
Number two, all 3 of them are now injured for multiple weeks. So, I mean, what's going on, guys? Why are so many players getting injured?
Donnelly, you want to go first?
Oh, you, Joe.
I think because no preseason. I think because of such a weird offseason. I mean, the other sports were in the middle of their season or just beginning for baseball. So baseball had spring training, they were getting ready, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit. You look at basketball and hockey, they were towards the end of their season in the stride to make the playoffs. Football, they were done in February, and then coronavirus hit in March. So the players didn't have to deal with any adjustments, really. The NFL has been functioning perfectly except for preseason. And I think preseason, what?
Has it?
What have they missed?
How long do you have?
No, I mean, what they haven't. They did the NFL draft on time. They did free agency on time. They really only had to stop preseason, and I think
got a lot of problems, but they had those problems before coronavirus too. That's all I'm saying.
What the injuries?
To say functioning perfectly, I think is a little bit is a little bit of an overstatement.
The NFL?
Yeah,
they're the top sport in America, and they didn't lose anything during coronavirus.
Okay, continue your point.
All I'm saying.
We'll agree to disagree on this one.
Why, you think they lost something? You think the NFL it's just a fluke injuries that happened? I think it's because of preseason. They didn't have the
They might be
normal.
the most popular sport in America, but I think they are losing viewership.
They're definitely losing viewership.
You know,
Yes, but I'm
they're
saying
losing
based on
viewership and they're losing attention to themselves. The only reason that they're gaining any attention right now is because of coronavirus.
you told me what's up with the injuries. I said because no preseason. That's all I said. I think because the fact that they don't have the preseason to get warmed up, to hit another team, they only had themselves. They only had the same team for a month and a half. And then all of a sudden, week one, okay, they're ready to go, they're fresh. All right, but week two, how many injuries were there? There were San Francisco,
A ton.
numerous
San
injuries.
Francisco had like what 4 or 5 injuries.
Yeah, to key players. These were all big names too. Like you mentioned, Johnny, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Michael Thomas, Jimmy Garoppolo, all these players that
The
were
entire 49ers, but
that were drafted high in fantasy. They were all drafted pretty high. I drafted Saquon. Now he's out for the year. So I'm not even concerned about fantasy though. I hope he recovers because he's one of the stars of the NFL. And to have a star like that in New York too, when he is the face of the Giants, that's even if Giants. What? Yeah. Even if the Giants are bad, he is their top player. He is the face of the franchise, and for him to go down, that's a huge blow to a historic program, historic franchise.
let me go back first off, just to make my point, right? The NFL does not function perfectly. It's got a lot of issues. I agree with you, though, that during coronavirus, the NFL has handled the situation fairly well.
We also had a lot of time to watch all the other sports fail at their ability to deal with it.
Well, that's what I was saying though, is that they
were
didn't
able
have to
cover their
they didn't
issues.
have to cancel anything. They didn't have
And
to.
it's tough, though, because I don't think that people will be watching the preseason if we had done the preseason instead. The fact that it started on time is huge in itself.
Right. Yeah.
The fact that they were able to start training camps in July is huge in itself. However, there's also that toll that it takes on the players. And I would like to see what the NFL does in order to adjust to that. If there is anything that they can do.
Right. But I'm saying though that the NBA season was cut short. They didn't get to finish their regular season. The baseball season didn't start for what, 2-3 months after they were supposed to. The NHL, they moved up to Canada to finish their season. The NFL, what I meant by functioning perfectly was that they had the draft on time. As you mentioned, they started on time. The NFL free agency back in March still happened, even when this all started. So that was all my point was that they continued to be the number one sport, to not have any hiccups. They could have postponed the season. They could have canceled the season, like they were talking about. They didn't know if they'd have football in September, but they followed carefully. The test numbers for COVID-19 and the NFL are historically low compared to the other four sports. The other four sports with soccer included. So they're doing something right.
5 positive tests in the entire NFL out of 47,000 tests taken.
Right.
That's insane. That's huge.
They're doing they know what they're doing. Donnelly, like you said, they watch the other sports and they picked up what was right and what was wrong. And they did a great job on doing a virtual draft. They did that really well. And they're like, all right, well, preseason we can cut out. I don't think we need preseason. To chance the players getting more
They
sick.
definitely did.
What?
Except they definitely did.
Apparently, if they needed all these injuries in week 2, usually these injuries happen halfway through the season, and not all at once like this was week 2.
Yeah.
That was a big
It's a
storyline.
tough week. I mean, like
Yeah.
you said, a lot of big players getting injured, and you have players like Mike Davis and Deion Lewis and Devontae Freeman who
Right.
have to step up now.
Yep.
And take what should not be a starting role and make it a starting role for multiple weeks at a time. I mean, Saquon's going to be out for the entire year.
Yep.
So,
I mean, McCaffrey's only out a month or so, they said. Michael Thomas, give or take a month. And it's only
it's in about 6 weeks. It could be up to 6 weeks.
okay, it's even longer. But what's great for timing wise, we think, oh my God, it happened so early in the season. But that could be a plus for teams too. They know what they have to work with. It's early on. The worst you are is 0-2. You're only 2 games back in the division. Well, 2.5 if you lost a tiebreak to a division foe. So there's time to make up ground. It's not like it's midway through the season or late in the season and all right, our season's done. There's still stuff to fight for.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that usually somebody, maybe a couple of guys in the top 10 fighters,
right,
get injured, and usually it's not for the whole season. Maybe it's like you said, 4 to 6 weeks. The fact that there are 2 guys,
yep,
2 running backs who are going to be missing major time, and the third one where even if it's just a couple more weeks, I mean,
right,
that's still, it's pretty bad, And as a fantasy owner, you have to kind of wonder, is this the way it's going to be for the rest of the year? Connolly, what do you think?
I mean, kind of like what Joe said, without the preseason, it's just no one had the chance to play against other teams. So I think it's just going to be a matter of the first 2, 3, maybe 4 games to get people back into, regular
right,
season mode. And so I think it'll go back to normal come week 4 or 5. And then we'll see the rest of the injuries that you normally see, around that time frame. But I think players are just getting back into this, with no prior practice other than with their own team. I think it's going to go back to normal. I don't think we shouldn't see any more injuries, but you never know. Everyone's still kind of getting back into the swing of everything.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you, Don. I mean, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a couple more weeks, and then maybe the injuries will start to slow down a little bit. But I mean, the thing is that can we even wait those couple of weeks too? I mean,
No.
if 2 out of the 5 guys, like we said, 3 out of the 5 guys were injured this week, right? What happens if the other 2 get injured? I mean, it's very much possible at this rate. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Johnny, real quick, we have a comment from a viewer, Tommy, your friend Tommy Donnelly. I saw his comment.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
What do you guys think about
good point.
the coaches and wearing masks? They're getting fined left and right because their mask slips or not even wearing it fully. That's a very good point because they're getting fined like crazy, all the different coaches around the NFL. And I think it's a huge issue. You got to wear your mask. I'm sorry, you have the headset. It's easier, obviously, to coach and to yell to the players across the field without a mask. You got to wear it, though. There's been 5 coaches with coronavirus in the NFL. Before, and Sean Payton and other coaches like that, they've come out and had it, and it's nothing to joke about. They need to wear their masks. They need to stay socially distant for now. Maybe at the end of this season there'll be a vaccine. Maybe all is right, but we don't know. It's so much uncertainty. So until then, we have to obey by the rules, whether it's the NFL or what's going on all around us.
Molly, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my personal views aside, I think right at this point that they need to just continue with what they're supposed to do, like Joe said, just follow the rules, get through this. Hopefully, like you said, the vaccine comes through or whatever. But, if they don't follow this, they keep getting fined and people keep getting the virus, it's going to shut the league down. It's going to do what happened with the MLB and NBA, threatening to shut it down, And like I mentioned before, the NFL has so much time to watch all the other sports, fail and be successful.
Right.
That they just need to continue on this, get it over with, hope for, better year next year, and not run the risk of, canceling the rest of the season.
Right.
Nobody wants to have, the season canceled week 5. I mean, what will we do for the rest of the fall and winter?
It'd be a huge blow.
And I'm happy you mentioned that too. Back to give Joe more credit too, the way that Major League Baseball has handled the entire coronavirus situation has been a joke. And a large part of that, like we have discussed on the show, is because of the players.
Right.
But also, administration is to blame for that as well. I want to play devil's advocate a little bit just to have something different to say. Now, I'm a huge advocate for wearing masks and being safe. I would rather the players and the coaches and all personnel be safe than sorry.
Right.
However, football is just a little bit more vocal. So there has to be a way, and this is what the NFL can do, there has to be a way for coaches to be able to interact on their headsets and make sure that they are expressing exactly what they need to say
Right.
while also keeping safe.
Yep.
Because, I mean, coaches should be following the rules, but also they shouldn't be getting fined either. There has to be a way where there has to be a point where NFL says, all right, this is an issue, here's what we can do.
Right.
And
No, you're right.
So,
Maybe
We'll
they
see-
just
we'll
need to
see how
put
the NFL
microphones in
goes.
all their helmets.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is a whole different season. You've never had to worry about, masks for coaches. You've had to worry about face masks, like face mask penalties on the field. That's as close to masks as we've ever been before this year. So everything's different. But the safety of the players, I mean, imagine if the NFL gets shut down. I mean, you can't make up games like MLB has. St. Louis Cardinals are playing back-to-back doubleheader games like every day because they had a 2-3 week stretch when they had cases left and right that they had to cancel games. So the NFL doesn't have that wiggle room. They have to play every week. Otherwise, it's going to cause chaos. Miami Marlins, too, in baseball. They had a ton of cases. And so we, as NFL fans, are just saying probably to the coaches, just wear your mask. I mean, protect the sport, protect the investment. And it's they don't have to wear hazmat suits. I mean, it could be a lot worse.
I agree with that point too. I mean, for now, coaches wear the mask, but also NFL, figure out what you can do to solve this issue.
Right.
And I will say, on behalf of every single sports organization, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the National Hockey League, and even Major League Soccer,
Right.
I feel like this pandemic has really defined the strength of these organizations too.
Yep.
I mean, we thought that Major League Baseball was so strong and solidified. For the most part, obviously there are going to be some people who disagree with me, but
Right.
this coronavirus it's made so many problems with Major League Baseball so apparent.
Right.
And it's caused so many more issues in that. And it's caused questions about how it's being run and how it's going to be run for years to come.
Right.
So,
It'll be interesting going forward. We'll see what happens.
Donnelly, anything you want to add?
No, just to not let this season get canceled. That's just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
No one wants to be like the MLB and their ridiculously terrible season that they've been having.
Yep.
I was going to ask you guys, as a fantasy owner, what can somebody do to better adjust for the variable change that's going on right now? But I think instead we're just going to go ahead and move on to talking about the Patriots.
Yep. And we could talk Eagles. We could talk Eagles for Donnelly too.
We'll talk a little bit about Eagles. We'll let him we'll let him control the situation a little bit. But I do want to mention the Eagles I want to mention the Patriots just a little bit. Oh my gosh. I want to talk about the Patriots just a little bit. Everybody thought that they were going to lose by a very handsome margin against the Seahawks on Sunday. The Patriots came in and they lost the game, but they almost won it in the last seconds.
Yep.
I mean, my quick question for you guys is, are there signs of hope for the Patriots this year?
Yes, to an extent. Last show, I said that Cam cannot continue to run like he did in week 1. He proved so much with his arm in game 2 against Seattle. He had almost 400 passing yards. And I wish he passed on the last play of the game. I think it was obvious that they were going to run it. It was a run formation. It's worked all night. We discussed it with others after the game and the day after regarding was it a good play, was it a bad play, what could have been different, everything. But I think Patriots fans, you see it 2 seconds left on the clock. You see Cam, the only person in the backfield, and no receivers split out wide. He's running, and Seattle knew that too. And they stopped him on the goal line. He got tripped up, whatever you want to say. But I think he's got to win that game with his arm because his legs are so predictable. He's always been a running quarterback. He has always been, two-tier. He's got, I think, the most games ever with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. So I think history is on his side with running. But we saw in the situation that at the end of the game, he cannot run it because teams are planning for that. And now I'm talking to myself. But I'm good at talking about myself. There's my co-host. I think, and there's both. I think the fact of the matter is.
I'm sorry, there was a phone going off, and I was debating whether to answer it or not.
Oh, I know.
I get it.
It's fine.
It sounds
It's
like
fine.
my dog was chewing on something. Too, so.
All I was saying, though,
I'm sorry.
I think,
I've been hearing everything you've been
I
saying.
know.
Don't worry.
I know. But I think overall, though, that there is signs of hope. People were saying, it's a moral victory. I don't believe in moral victories. It's a short season. You don't have room for moral victories, especially with the Bills being 2-0. This game would have been big, so we would have been tied for the division lead. But it's early season. I get that. Cam will still grow. I think we should sign Cam long term now because he's come in the first 2 weeks and have done fantastic without a preseason to learn the playbook. And Bill Belichick's playbook, as we've seen in previous years, is very difficult to learn. So
You think he's going to last, though?
he's got to stay healthy. That's always been his biggest concern since he was drafted in 2011. I think if he can stay healthy, why not have Cam for the next few years? I'm okay with that.
I know I talked a lot about Cam Newton, and a lot of them were very negative things to say about Cam Newton. However, the fact that they can play so well against this tough Seattle Seahawks defense, the fact that the defense can hold Russell Wilson so well.
Right.
I mean, he still scored a ton of fantasy points, and he still had a great game. But the fact that Cam Newton can play so well, and of course there were moments. There were a couple of moments where the Patriots, Stephon Gilmore getting beat out by, what was it, Tyler Lockett, I believe?
No, that was
DK
Metcalf. Yeah.
That was DK Metcalf, yeah. I mean, there were those moments, but it gives me a lot more hope knowing that when we really have to, we'll play those tough teams tough. And we might
He
not
put
come
up
out.
almost 400 yards passing.
That was unheard of.
Insane.
I would have never guessed
Insane.
against Seattle's defense in Seattle. He
Yeah.
almost has 400. Would have never guessed that.
This
No,
was an
not at all.
offensive game for sure. But
He stepped up. He stepped up on his first true road game with the Patriots, a whole new franchise, because he's been with Carolina since he's been drafted. So this has been a year of change for Cam, being released, being hurt, learning a new playbook, replacing a legend. I mean, it's all been on Cam's plate, and he's only making like $1 million, $2 million. I mean, he's making less than backups. And he said earlier this week he's not playing for money; he's playing for respect. So he's got that chip on his shoulder, and that's dangerous for the rest of the league.
Really is.
Yeah.
But
it makes me a little bit more optimistic moving forward, though.
Yep.
Knowing that we can play these tough teams tough.
I mean, if he continues the way he's playing the past 2 weeks, I think he's going to be successful. I think this season is his test. If he does continue to do it all this season, I don't think he'll last, another couple years.
Yeah.
At least another 2-year contract, 2-3 years. Nothing crazy, because obviously Bill's never going to put up a crazy contract.
nope, never has.
They could give him $5-10 million a year over the next 2 or 3 years, assuming that he continues to play at this level. I mean,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
If he continues like this throughout the rest of the season, whether he wins or loses, I think he'll still have a contract.
Yeah, somebody will sign him. He's a free agent after the end of this year. Somebody will pick him up if he continues to play like this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if he wants to be the man, he's got a pretty good setup here in New England. I mean, it's hard to replace Tom Brady. And you saw Hoyer kind of choke in training camp. Stidham was supposed to be the guy, and they both got beat out by a guy we just signed a couple months ago. And
I mean, did you really expect anything less from that?
I thought Stidham would have competed better for the position. I thought he would have stepped up a little bit, but he didn't. So
people are saying he's another low quarterback draft pick who's going to work out for the Patriots. I just don't see Stidham long term with the Patriots.
I don't either. But I thought for the short term, I thought this year, if we didn't sign Cam, who would you rather have, Stidham or Hoyer? And I would have gone Stidham.
If Stidham was behind, if Stidham was behind center, I would have felt a lot worse about the Patriots. I would have said,
correct,
maybe a number 1 overall draft pick this year, but
maybe. But now we're competing for a division title because of Cam. He has come in, and he has saved, arguably, I know it's only 2 weeks, saved this franchise because people were saying the Pats, with their bad schedule, without Tom Brady, we are going to do terrible. I came on the show, I vouch, and I have it recorded, 10-6. I'm sticking with that, maybe even better with Cam. And that was before Cam. But I do think, though, that if Cam continues to pick this up, Edelman had his best game ever as a Patriot, 179 yards receiving. He never did that with Brady. So if he can get on the same, page with Cam and, be that dynamic duo like Brady and Edelman was, maybe even better, because Cam has that weapon, the feet. He has his legs to be able to move out of the pocket like Brady did not, and to make the adjustments on the fly. Cam has a very bright future here. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward.
Yeah. I feel a lot better about Cam Newton overall than I did the past couple of weeks. And I think a large part of that is because, like you said, he's done a better job with decision making.
Right.
He knows how to play tough in those last few minutes. Would I have run? Would I have done a QB sneak option on that last play of the game? Probably not.
Yeah.
But the fact that he even got into the 2-yard line speaks volumes in itself.
We were down 12 with 5 minutes to go. We had no position to even be in that position.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was shocked that, well, I shouldn't be shocked that Pete Carroll decided to throw on 3rd and 1 like he did in the Super Bowl when he should have just ran it, but I digress. The fact that, though, that he threw it, the clock was stopped, and it gave us a whole another minute of time. That's huge, and that gave us the ability to drive down the field. Do I wish we finished the job? Absolutely. So does every other Patriot fan. But as moral victories go, yes, there's a bright future. But I do want to shift gears a little bit to the NFC, as I did say we'd give the Eagles like a minute. So, Donnelly, your team in Philly, not very good.
No, definitely did not turn out the way that everyone thought they were going to turn out, even though I didn't really expect much from them. Wentz kind of had his 1 year until he got injured, but he hasn't been the same since. And everyone's like, oh, well, he didn't have a major injury in the offseason to recover from.
Right.
It's like, yeah, that's true, but he hasn't really produced anything. I mean, last week, not to say that 242 yards isn't a lot, but, it wasn't really that impressive. And the fact that the media people put in fake booing because he was doing so terrible, it says a lot.
Did you just see Tommy's comment about the booze? Is that why you said that?
Yeah, he reminded me of that. But still, it's pretty terrible when you get, fake boos.
How does that happen? You're at home and you get booed. I get it's Philly, but there's no fans.
Exactly. That's how you know you're doing bad.
That's pre-recorded boos. They know they were going to do bad.
They probably recorded it from the other times he got booed.
Ugh, it just...
The thing about Carson Wentz, too, is, by the way, I want to say, for fantasy football, thank God that I drafted Josh Allen. mean, I
stayed
have
away from that
Carson
too.
Wentz in my backup. No more. 5 turnovers in the first 2 games. I believe it was 2 interceptions and 1 forced fumble in the first game. And then 2 forced fumbles in the last game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's broken 300 yards at all, which is just
No.
He's
they're
got
not looking good for him.
he's got to
The
get
receiving is all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
it's mediocre. A couple big throws, too many interceptions, way too many sacks. I mean, granted, he didn't get sacked last game, but it's absurd. And they have no offensive line.
That's
Because,
what I was just gonna say. He's got to get protected.
I mean, granted, we do have some injuries. I get it. You know, that's gonna make it hard for any team.
Yeah.
That's still not an excuse.
But
I
they
mean,
gave
we
up
still
what
should be able
8
to do
sacks?
something.
It was 8 sacks against Washington 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
I mean, I do say that they didn't have Lane Johnson in there on their line. So, you know, maybe there's some problematic with that.
Right.
But that's not the whole reason.
Right.
You can't say just because one person wasn't playing that someone got sacked 8 times. It's just ridiculous.
Another thing, too, is that they didn't address any of the problems that they had in this year's draft.
Right.
I mean,
No.
they did draft a wide receiver in Jalen Rager, and he's a great deep threat. But he's also prone to drops, and he sucks on the short routes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so apparent. It's been so apparent these past 2 games, you know. And like you said, Joe, terrible offensive line.
Right.
They've done nothing to solve that.
No.
You know?
They haven't in the past, 5 years, they haven't even touched their line.
Right.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I do want to stay in the NFC though real quick because Tommy did mention how about Brady and Gronk in Tampa, and I do want to address Brady and Gronk in Tampa because Brady has started off slow. They're 1-1. He's got 3 touchdowns to 3 picks. That's not Brady. That's not Brady. And then Gronk, he's got 2 catches for 30 yards. That's it in 2 games. Gronk looks
I think
slow.
Gronk's too old.
He
I don't think he's too old. I think he's been out of football for too long.
that's exactly it. He's been out a year.
That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, he was retired. He did wrestling. He was on TV. He was living the dream life and partying every other weekend. He got back in shape, but he didn't take a hit. So against the Saints and against Carolina, 2 division foes that will hit you stronger because you're competing for a division title.
And they know what Gronk and Brady are like.
Right.
And especially since this has been such an interesting year with training camps, no preseason. I mean,
Yeah.
Gronk has had basically there's no normalcy there for Gronk right now. So
No.
he's had absolutely no time to be able to adjust and learn Tampa Bay's offense.
Well,
I mean, realistically, he's not even an option right now.
the thing is too. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't think, back to our other point when we first started this, was that maybe the preseason or lack thereof might have been problematic for him, that he didn't get those, few snaps every couple weeks to, get back in the swing of things with other teams.
Right.
You think that might have hindered his abilities this season, aside from the fact that he's been out of the game for so long?
Probably. And the fact that he's down in Florida now, in training camp, they picked up audio from him saying, "Oh my God, it's so hot down here." Granted, it's Florida in August. What do you expect? But he's been out of what?
Do you think that's it? It's because of the heat?
No.
Going, oh man, if it was 60 degrees outside, I'd be fine. But now,
The thing is, though, with Gronk, is that Bruce Arians, his coach, came out and said, we got him as a tight end, and if he doesn't catch any, we did pick him up as a tight end. We did pick him up for blocking. We did pick him up for different reasons. Catching may not be one of them. And I thought that was super interesting because Gronk has been always known, future Hall of Famer, as a passing tight end, as a catching tight end, I should say. And if he doesn't catch really anything in Tampa, and he's just blocking, I don't know how effective he's really going to be.
I mean, has he really ever been a good blocker?
he's been a pretty good blocker.
Underrated,
That's not what he's known for.
underrated blocker, I'd say. Better pass catcher. And if he's not catching from Brady, and he's only blocking, he's not even going to be half the tight end he used to be. But I don't know.
Do you see Gronk moving into a fullback position potentially?
No, I think he's too fragile.
I don't think he can run well enough to be a fullback.
I think he's his bones. He's had so many surgeries. I don't. He's lucky enough to block for tight end, let alone a fullback. But I don't know. It's a lot of question marks with Gronk. Will they pick it up? Probably. They'll get on the same page. Gronk will have a couple breakout games when they need him, just like he had in New England. He arrived when he was needed. He came through in the clutch. But it's a whole new system in Tampa. Brady and Gronk are new. They're rookies to the playbook. So we'll see kind of what Bruce Arians has to say going forward about it.
I think he'd have a lot of success as a fullback. But
it is interesting to think.
Yeah. I mean, they still have a ton of offensive weapons. And
right.
Tampa Bay, the problem is that, like you said, Gronk and Brady are still rookies.
Right.
So if Brady can figure out how to utilize those wide receivers better and, be a good passer again,
right,
then maybe you take Gronk, you put him in that fullback position, so he can learn on the block. And he can be a more effective player for Tampa Bay.
Here's a crazy situation, though. Imagine the Patriots finish a better record than Brady in the box. And then everyone's like, oh, Belichick, we trust. We knew Bill had a plan all along. We knew getting rid of Brady just in the nick of time. I mean,
I can't wait to hear that.
Imagine. But
I can't wait.
All the crap Bill got, though, for having Brady walk out the door because we didn't pay him and they didn't see eye to eye. They were together 20 years.
I'm going to say I get the move. I've always backed that up. I've always understood that, you know what? He's 43 years old.
Right.
He's a 43-year-old quarterback. Justify that any way that you want to. Justify it with the 6 Super Bowls. Justify it with, the second most passing touchdowns of all time. Justify that with, making, 5 straight Super Bowls now? Justify it any way you want to.
You want to
still a 43-year-old quarterback, yet letting him go, and he's not getting along with Kraft, and he's not getting along with Belichick, and he wants $30 million. I get it.
We all, as Patriots fans, wanted him to retire as a Patriot. That would have been a nice story, kind of like Kobe Bryant, that he finishes with one franchise. He plays for one franchise his entire career. It is a business, and it's a matter of, okay, Tom moved on. We'll see how they do without each other with Brady and Belichick. And they'll go into the Hall of Fame. They're still Hall of Famers. They're on good terms for the most part. It just didn't work out, the situation, and they went their separate ways.
I mean, I feel like that situation is much more common than you might think it is. I mean, look at Peyton Manning. Look at Brett Favre.
Right. They all moved.
Young.
They all were on different teams.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see going forward.
We will see going forward. Donnelly, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just think it's going to take some time to see how he plays it out. Again, the whole no preseason thing. I think it's ruining a lot of people's season.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it because I don't want to put this one aspect of no preseason being the one reason that half the teams in the league are doing as poorly as they are when they should have been doing better.
Right. Exactly.
But, I mean, some of that's got to still be, worth something to say about their poor abilities.
Yep. True.
So, let me ask you one more question, Donnelly.
Yep.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Over or under 2,500 yards this season?
Oof.
I was going to say 3,000, but I knew you were going to go, no, under.
At 25?
That's brutal.
Maybe I'd say.
The way he's playing, over under 2,500 yards right now.
Oh, he should be.
He's either going to get injured,
but I still think.
or he's going to keep doing bad.
So he's he's not terrible enough to go sub 2,000, but he's not good enough to go above 3. So I think he's still going to push high 2,000s, and I think he might maybe a little bit higher than 25.
For as talented as Carson Wentz is, he should be a 4,000-yard passer.
He should be every
Should
year.
be 5,000, honestly. He's
But
got
he
all the
just-
talent in the world.
He just
Approachable
can't stay
size,
healthy.
He's got a great throwing arm. He's
He just can't stay healthy.
calm, cool, and
He
collected.
can decently run.
He needs to
Yeah.
stay healthy. He'll
He
get.
doesn't run, though. He
Yeah.
doesn't run. He's
Well,
got
yeah,
3
but he
rushes
gotta-
on the entire
He
season.
destroyed his knee. Of course, he's not going to run as much anymore.
Still, though. Still.
Oh, no, I definitely agree. I think, if we actually had decent line and decent wide receivers, he would be a 4,000
Yeah.
quarterback.
Brady tore his ACL and he still became more of a running quarterback after he was out for a full season. Carson Wentz doesn't have any excuse. And look
He
at
doesn't.
Newton. He's run more.
That's true. But again, I think the whole team dynamic is also affecting him.
They have to get it together soon, or otherwise they have no shot in the NFC East.
No, not at all. And I mean, it's not the sole excuse because Wentz has its own problems with his terrible accuracy this season. But it doesn't help when he gets pressured almost every play.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the division's so wide open. You guys, I
it really
mean,
is. I hate to say it, but Washington's actually a contender.
Washington is better than people thought, and then Giants took a hit with Saquon Barkley going down, and then the Cowboys give up.
That was their only player on the team.
Yeah, and then the Cowboys give up a ton of points every week. So I mean, but
That's fair.
they gave up 39 last week and then won. So who knows who's actually going to win each week?
It's going to be crazy. But the Eagles' future schedule is not looking bright for them. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to really fix anything in the next 3 weeks with the teams they're going up against. So
Yeah.
not looking forward to that.
Jeez.
So we'll see. I guess for all of that, I can't comment on the Washington football team, but we'll see.
Nobody knows
That's
about
to comment on.
nobody knows about that division.
I think instead of brackets, we should do something very interesting this week.
Okay.
We should do a pick'em
All
for
right.
all the football games that are happening this week, starting with tonight's game, and then going down all the way to the Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Then we'll keep records of that, and then we'll compare those records, and we'll see how everybody does. Nick, because he's not here, automatically goes 0-16 or 0-15, however many games there are.
16. I think bye weeks start next week. So I think they.
So he goes 0-16. Good luck.
Oof. Ooh, brutal. All right. The first game is Miami at Jacksonville. Donnelly, you are keeping score. You're keeping the record straight. Okay.
I pulled up our chart here.
Great. Dolphins at Jaguars. Johnny, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I'm starting Gardner Minshew, so Jacksonville.
That's good.
But he's playing hot recently.
It's
He's
true.
the only-
That's
I think
true.
He's the only Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback
Yeah.
to have 3 straight games of 3 touchdowns and 350 yards.
Right. No, very
Something
true.
like that. I'll pull up the exact stat right now.
Donnelly, you want to go next? Dolphins at Jaguars?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm going to go Dolphins.
Real quick, first Jaguars player with 3 straight games of at least 3 passing scores in franchise history,
Wow.
which is insane. I think he's gonna make it full.
All right. So, Johnny, you have the Jaguars. Donnelly, you have Miami. I'll go Jaguars simply because both teams are bad, but Jaguars are at home. So, for as much good as the home team does this year, because there's really no fans. So, there's no really home field advantage.
And for those of you wondering, will Gardner Minshew do worse with DJ Chark out? He's also on my fantasy team, but I don't really care. Let's be honest.
All right, moving to the Sunday games. We have San Francisco at the New York Football Giants.
That's an easy one.
I don't know. Is San Francisco going to get beat up again? It's on the same turf as last week when they played the Jets.
They also lost like 4 different players.
Well, I mean, who's starting for San Fran? I mean, is Jimmy G playing? Nobody knows. I'll still take San Fran, though. I'll take San Fran. I'm going to take 49ers, though. I think they're a better team overall, even with backups against the Giants.
I'm also going to go with San Fran.
I'm also going to go with San Fran because I think Sam Darnold's going to see some more ghosts.
That's Sam Darnold. They're playing the Giants. They're playing the Giants.
Oh, the Giants. I'm sorry. No, it's still going.
Wrong New York team, but we get what you're saying with San
New
Fran.
York. I didn't hear Giants. I'm sorry.
Next, we have the Washington Football Team at the Cleveland Browns.
Oh. This is actually difficult.
Yeah, this is a little harder.
Browns coming off a Thursday night football win last week
Against the Bengals.
against the Bengals, but they've had more time. They've had more time to rest.
They might as well have gotten. They might as well have played the Texas State Championship, which I'm sure is a great team. But
I'm definitely going to go with Washington on this one.
It's tough. I guess I'll go Browns. I guess. Not confident, but I'll go Brownies.
I'm going to go with the tie. I'm kidding. I'm going to go with the Browns.
Okay. All right, next. Bengals at Donnelly's Flag. The Eagles.
This is probably going to be the worst game on television.
It probably is. I heard it's a 1 o'clock game.
Sorry, Donald.
Yeah, Bengals at Eagles is a 1 o'clock game.
I think Miles Sanders is going to put up some big numbers.
Yeah.
So I'll go Eagles. But it's going to be a low-scoring affair.
Eagles have got to get a win at some point, right? I mean, but Joe Burrow looks pretty good actually for being a rookie. It's tough. Actually, it's tougher than in years past because easily years past you'd go Eagles. You know what, Donnelly, for you, I'll go Eagles.
I want to say that the Eagles are going to do something. It's really hard to say, but I mean, I just really don't know. I'm still going to go with the Eagles, though.
Okay. So we're all on the Eagles?
I was going to say the one Eagles fan goes with the Bengals.
So we're all on the Eagles, huh?
That would be so funny.
Johnny, you had Eagles?
Yeah, I got Eagles.
All right, next game. The Las Vegas Raiders, which is still weird to say, at the New England Patriots.
I am curious to see how the Patriots will stop Josh Jacobs.
Yep. He's a
For that reason,
he's a great running back.
I'm going to go with the Raiders, but I think the Patriots are going to put up a really good fight.
Wow. Oh, I'm going Pats. We see West Coast teams, and I know Vegas is West Coast, but Western teams travel east, and they don't fare very well. And especially in Gillette, fans or no fans, I got the Pats.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Pats as well on this one.
Okay.
I also just wanted to disagree with you, Joe, because we've had the same picks so far.
Well, there's more games to choose from. We got a lot more games. Chicago at Atlanta. 2-0 Chicago. I believe 0-2 Atlanta.
Wait, hold on. Johnny, what did you choose for
Vegas.
Vegas? All right.
Yeah, he chose
I
Vegas.
went with the New England Raiders.
So Bears, Chi-Town at Atlanta is the next matchup.
They shouldn't be 3-0, but they will go 3-0 just because Atlanta is. I mean, it's not so much that Atlanta's 0-2; it's that they failed to show up in any facet whatsoever. So
That's true.
I'm going to go with Chicago just because their defense is still very strong.
Okay.
And Mitch Trubisky, he'll probably put up 250 yards.
I'm gonna go with the Bears as well. I just don't think Atlanta's got it all together this year. Kind of like the Eagles. They're just terrible.
I'll be different. I'll go Atlanta. They're at home and they put up 39 last week. I know they choked, but I don't buy the Bears. The Bears got lucky week 1 against Detroit. Detroit should have won that game. And with Mitchell Trubisky, we've talked about him before. Even though he's out of UNC, Tar Heel Pride, I don't buy him as the 3-0 type quarterback. I think Atlanta at home, Matt Ryan plays good in the dome. So I got Falcons. And they gotta get a first win at some point. They're too talented not to.
See, I didn't forget that they put up 39 last week. I remembered that, and I also remembered that they gave up 12 points in 3 minutes.
I know. But to be fair, the first couple weeks they've played Seattle and they've played Dallas. Those are 2 tough opponents. So we'll see what they do with Chicago. Next, LA Rams at the Buffalo Bills. Rams at Bills.
Rams have a tough defense.
Yep.
I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Josh Allen.
I think so too.
However, I still think the Bills are going to come out with this win.
I'm gonna go against you and say the Rams are gonna get this one.
I am rooting for the Rams, but I think Bills win. I think Josh Allen is an MVP candidate, even though Aaron Donald on the other side is going to go nuts like he always does. I think Bills at home. If they were in LA, I'd probably go LA, but because they're traveling east, I'll go Bills.
Did I mention that Josh Allen is on my fantasy team?
You're really high on
No,
your
I just wanted to say it again.
You're really high on your fantasy team this week, aren't you?
For someone that's doing terrible.
I mean, my 3 running backs are projected to put up 110 points. So.
That's pretty good. Next matchup, Houston at Pittsburgh. The Texans go into Steeler country.
I think this one's a no-brainer. I'm going to go with Houston on this one.
Really? No-brainer, you're taking Houston. Oh, I thought it was no-brainer Steelers. I'll go
That's what I
Steelers.
was thinking. I'm going with the Steelers.
Yeah. Texans haven't looked good. They played, granted, to be fair, they've played Kansas City and they played Baltimore. So, to be fair, they've had the 2 best teams the first 2 weeks of the season. But I still got Steelers, though. But Texans.
Pittsburgh isn't the same team that they used to be.
Yeah, no, I know that. But Steelers have weapons. I mean, Texans only have Deshaun Watson.
Steelers are good on
They have
defense,
players.
but Houston arguably has the better defense.
All right.
And Deshaun Watson is still Deshaun Watson. And Roethlisberger is old.
Yeah, but is Watson really performing that well this year?
He's doing okay.
We'll
He's
see.
not doing great. I wouldn't say bad.
So,
We will see. Next.
Hold on. Let me check how many fantasy points. You got, let's see. He's been a decent numbers. He's thrown a couple of picks, but he's also thrown a couple of touchdowns. He's playing. He played like you said, he played a really tough Baltimore defense.
Yeah. Next, we have Titans at Vikings. And we have a special guest.
yeah.
Tennessee at Minnesota. Tough. It's actually tough game.
Tennessee at this one. Tannehill's playing pretty well.
Tannehill is playing actually really well. Vikings have not. Vikings, they didn't do very well last week against the Colts. And I don't know. Vikings are 0-2. I mean, I'll go Vikings. I think Kirk Cousins has to rebound at some point, and he's getting paid to be a top 5 quarterback. So I got Vikings this week, but it's a toss-up game, I think.
I think it is too, but I think the Vikings are gonna edge it out.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say Kirk Cousins, top 5 quarterback?
He's paid like a top 5 quarterback. Paid. Have you seen his contract? It's all guaranteed. He is one of the top 5 paid quarterbacks in the league. Look it up.
I'm not disputing that. Let's move on.
I didn't pay him. I didn't pay him.
Let's just move on.
If he is paid like he should be, he'll produce the numbers. He hasn't so far this year.
Top 5 quarterback.
Paid.
You name 5 quarterbacks right now who are better than him.
I said paid. Check the tape.
Ugh.
You don't like Kirk Cousins, do you?
It's not that I don't like Kirk Cousins. I just don't think he's a top 5 quarterback.
But he's paid
Top
as one.
15,
He's paid as a top 5
maybe
quarterback.
top 10,
He's
top 5.
he got $80-something million guaranteed.
Good for him. Good for him.
He should play like a top 5 quarterback then. I didn't say he does, but against Tennessee he probably could. At home? All right, we'll see. Wait, Donnelly, who'd you go with?
For which one?
Minnesota.
Yeah, I went with Minnesota.
Ah! Johnny's alone on this pick.
Oh, with Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Next up, Carolina at LA Chargers.
Oh, Chargers, no doubt.
Yeah, I got Chargers
It's
too.
kind of a toss-up too.
I got
Are you
Chargers too.
kidding me?
I got Chargers.
The Panthers are the worst team in the league, and they just lost their star running back.
That's true.
Aren't you a
Davis
secondary
isn't bad, but
Definitely the
Panthers fan?
yeah,
I'm sorry.
but I'm still a fan. But I'm still realistic.
The Panthers are the worst team in the league. You don't even give
I'm
them any.
still realistic.
They are 0-2. They are. They lost to Tampa and they lost to Vegas. So
I mean, what do you want me to say? Oh, the Panthers are going to win the NFC South.
do it. Be like Nick and pick the Seattle Mariners.
No.
Fine. Next,
Hey, let's give him a chance to defend himself, though.
the Mariners.
Yeah, let's give Nick a chance to defend himself from the Mariners.
He'll be back on the show next week, I'm sure, and he'll be able to defend the Mariners because they won't
I'm
make.
in right now.
You meant now?
It's just like him saying that the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Next up,
We give him a lot of flack, but you know what? I admire his courage to make those kind of picks.
Hey, Joe, what's your pick for the
Chargers.
Chargers?
Yeah. All right, next up, we got New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts.
Is that even a question?
I'll go Colts.
Jonathan Taylor will get 2 touchdowns on the ground.
You have him on fantasy, don't you?
Nope, Nick does. Not everything's about fantasy, Joe. Not all fantasy. Sometimes just maybe you want players to succeed.
Tyler, who you got?
Maybe we should do a little bit more bringing people up instead of putting them down, huh?
I thought you had Jonathan Taylor.
Where we're going.
I thought you had Taylor.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
You going with the Colts there, Johnny?
Also, I have T.Y. Hilton on my team. Just remember.
Are we all on the Colts?
Yeah, we're all Colts.
Okay. Next up, arguably the game of the week, Cowboys at Seahawks.
It's going to be a good one.
Good loss for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I got Seattle. Russell Wilson's on a tear. I got to go Seahawks.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I think playing the Patriots so close, I think it brought them down a couple of notches. And Dallas, they played pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Dallas.
What do you mean brought him down? Wilson had 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah, but it was still a close game. It was closer than it should have been.
So-
It should have been a 45-7 win.
So, Johnny, you are on Cowboys, and Donnelly, are you on Seahawks with me?
Yes.
It's early enough where I can take risks a little bit with my picks, all right?
That's exactly
If I
what
get
you're,
later on into the season, then maybe I'd say Dallas or Seattle.
that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking risks.
So I'm taking risks
All right.
because I may not be winning here, but I'm winning in fantasy football. And at least that's one thing that I can hold on to.
We got 4 more games to choose from. Lions at Cardinals.
Take the Cardinals in this one.
Yeah, I'll take
I'm
Arizona.
thinking the same too.
We're on Arizona. They're a good team. They're 2-0. They're doing actually pretty well. Next game, the Tampa Brady Buccaneers at the Denver Broncos. His house of horrors. Anybody want the upset?
What was it again? Sorry, I don't.
Tampa at Denver.
Tampa, Denver.
Anybody want the upset? He's done terrible in Denver.
I'll go Denver.
No Drew Lock. No Judy. No Von Miller.
Jeff Driscoll, though. I mean, Brady couldn't beat Brock Osweiler. Let's be honest here.
That one hurt. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
You're gonna cry. Oh, Brady lost. Brock Osweiler. Oh. It's a game, Joe.
This is a game. A game that you're going to choose wrong. I'm going Tampa.
Really.
I'm gonna go Denver.
Okay. I'm alone.
I'm gonna go 3-12. I'm gonna go 3-13 this weekend, but I'm gonna hold my head up high.
All right. Next up, the Sunday night game. Green Bay at New Orleans. Also a great game.
Go Green Bay.
Okay. I got New Orleans. They got a rebound from that Monday night game. They did terrible in Vegas. Being back home in New Orleans, I'll go Saints.
I'm also running on the fact that Devontae Adams is playing. If he's not playing, then maybe I would go New Orleans. But
I think he's questionable. I don't know if he's playing though.
Yeah, it's still questionable right now. I got him.
I
on
think
my
it's
fantasy team.
70-30.
Yep.
I think they're leaning towards him playing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We got it, Donnelly. Tough.
Well,
A tough game.
I don't really like the Saints doing so well. I don't think they're gonna make it. So I think it's
Green Bay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be Green Bay.
All right. And the final game of the week could be the best game of the year. Chiefs at Ravens.
Wow. This
That's gonna
one's
be a
tough.
hell of a game.
Imagine getting every single pick up to now right and then getting this game wrong.
I mean, I said Cowboys Seahawks would be the best game. I meant the best game on Sunday. This game on Monday is built for prime time.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
Whoo, you have the
I'm excited
reigning
for it.
2 MVPs in Mahomes and Jackson. They're both under 25. You're going to see these two at it the next 10 years, at least. No matter what pick you make, you can justify. It's not even going out on a limb, making a risk pick. Both are fantastic teams.
What about a tie?
You want the tie?
No.
You can pick the tie. You get extra.
I'm not going to pick the tie.
You get extra 5 points if you get the tie.
Oh, my gosh.
We did this on radio. We'll do it here.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chiefs. I've got more confidence in Mahomes right now.
Okay. All right. Before I make my final pick, I do want to give a shout out to Charles Bird, who has been commenting. And that's my mistake because I pulled up on my screen all the NFL games. So I didn't see the comments. I apologize, Charles. But he has commented on the Broncos game, the Saints game. He picked the Saints. And he's picking the Ravens, the home team, and Monday night's game. I'll go Ravens. I'm not feeling good about the pick because I'm going against Mahomes. But how do you pick one over the other? But I'll go Baltimore. I mean, I can see easily the Chiefs winning by 3 touchdowns. So what do I know?
I'm going to agree with you on that one. Again, just like you said, Joe, I'm not really confident about it either. But I think Baltimore's going to pull it off.
Yeah.
I think that they're gonna contain Mahomes just enough to edge by a field goal.
So Johnny, you have the Chiefs?
You know what? I just realized I picked a lot of road teams, so I'm just gonna take the home team this time and pick the Ravens.
We're all on the Ravens.
Wow.
Whew. Either we are 3 of the smartest people or 3 of the dumbest. So we'll see.
We're all just plain lucky.
We'll see. Well, once we do the show next week, we'll have to recap the games real quick and see where we went right and went wrong.
I did pick Denver, so
You did pick Denver. So those are all picks. That's all the games. I believe next week starts the bye weeks, so there will be less games, but we will keep a running tally each week, and we will see at the end of the season who's really bad at picking and who's moderately better.
you know what we could do is if fans want to submit their own picks every single week, and we'll give a shout out to whoever gets the best record from the ones that we get sent in.
Right.
And
True.
what we could even do beyond that is at the end of the year, whoever has the best picks out of the 4 of us, the audience gets to decide what to do for them. And whoever has the worst picks, the audience can decide what we do for them as well.
Hey, maybe the winner gets to come on the show. If they're not camera shy, they kick one of us out. If they have a better record than us, they can kick us right out of our seat for the show, for that one show or something.
That would happen.
I would not be surprised. They do better at picks than we do. No.
And then among us, whoever has the worst record, maybe they can get muted
Ooh.
for the entire show.
Ooh. Well, all right.
Oh boy.
All right. We'll see. We'll have to talk to Nick.
Sit there and watch.
Group effort. And we will tally up the votes. Anybody who wants to comment. I see we have 4 viewers right now, but spread the word. If you want to be on the show, submit your picks and leave your comments. You guys have been great with Tommy and with Charles today. A lot of comments. And my cousin Sam commented at the beginning. So thank you guys for your comments. Each and every week we'll be on the show. I think we're moving into our final thoughts now. Right, boys?
I think so.
Okay. Since there was no bracket this week, there's no really winner to go first. So, Johnny, because you're host, I guess you can do the odds for the order, for who goes first.
You know what, Donnelly? I want you to go ahead and go first.
Me? Okay. Well, I just hope the Eagles can put up some decent numbers for once and make me feel proud of my team instead of wanting to boo them just as much as the fake fans on last week's game. So let's just hope for a much better game, even though I doubt it with these next 3 games coming up. But we'll see. Never know what could happen.
Yeah. Johnny, me or you?
Joe, why don't you go ahead and go next?
Okay. Well, Celtics, time to show up. Game 5 tomorrow night. It's win or go home. It's backs are against the wall. We'll see how they do. Red Sox, you let me down last night. You won 9-1. I thought we were tanking. You were going the opposite way. It's too late to win games now. there's only a few games remaining for the baseball season. So the Red Sox can put a cap on this terrible shortened season in just a matter of a few days. The Patriots keep it up. We're 1-1, but got a bright future. Hopefully we get a win against Vegas. And the Bruins, well, they need some work. A lot of decision making coming up for the Bruins the next month or two. So keep an eye out for all the New England teams in the Revolution. They continue to play. Keep rooting on the Revs. And I just wanted to cover all the Boston teams. I know we talk mostly Boston teams on the show anyway, but just to give a final shout out and to have our teams that we root for, even Donnelly's Philadelphia teams. Phillies are close for a wild card spot. They're fighting to get in the playoffs. They're so close. Today, officially, the Washington Nationals were eliminated. So for the past 20 years, officially, there has not been a back-to-back champion in baseball. So the wild card teams and the race over the weekend should be very fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how baseball plays out for the playoffs coming up.
All right. You know who's been really quiet this show?
Nick.
Nick?
If we timed it just right, imagine if he was like in a waiting room this whole time and Donnelly hasn't let him in.
And then he pops in.
He just pops right in right now.
Yeah. Nick, what's your final thought? Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Good one.
We didn't really have a chance to talk about baseball in depth. So with that said, I think I'm just going to pass.
You don't want to talk baseball for your final thought?
No, I know I say this every week, but it's just nice to have sports back. To be able to talk about these kind of things, it's just such a wonderful feeling.
And we do have to mention really, really quick, I know this is your final thought, but Dallas Stars, Tampa Bay Lightning is going on, and Dallas is down 2-1 to the Lightning. Game for tomorrow night, or tonight, one of those.
Yes. We will be talking about that next week.
Yep.
And we'll be talking about the Bruins Stanley Cup hopes.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Well, at some point we will.
Yeah, at some point. With that said, I do want to thank everybody for watching this. I want to thank everybody who commented, who liked the video, who's already liked their channels, who's already followed us on Instagram, who's already followed us on YouTube. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all the love and all the support, and we love you just as much.
Please share the page, too. Keep it going. We're close to 300 likes. Keep it going. Keep it growing. And we love doing the show. As you can probably tell if you watch the show every week, we love doing the show. And hopefully it continues to grow and have more comments and shares and be able to grow and have more people even on the show too. Whenever the time is right with that. Usually the core four though. Nick, we missed you on the show tonight. I know we cracked jokes here and there, but we missed your input. And he'll probably be on the show next week, and it'll be back to the four of us like normal. So.
And the thing is too, we've been doing this for a long time, and we're really fortunate to have a lot of different people who have watched our shows, who have participated in our shows,
Yep.
And who have just been a part of everything that's going on. It's just so amazing. So we really wouldn't be able to do all of that without all of you listening and watching this. So thank you. And honestly, even though Nick isn't here, thank you to you guys as well, to Donnelly, to Joe, and to Nick. You guys are awesome, and I couldn't think of three better people to do a show with, except for the other co-hosts that we've had on and will have on in the future.
Yep. No, it's been fun, boys. Good final thought, Johnny. You thought you didn't have one.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a final thought, and it was very good. So, good way to end the show.
Beautiful. I hope you all enjoyed it. But with that said, I think it's time for us to go. From all of us here on the Sports Take Podcast, he's Joe Gentile, he's John Donnelly, not Nick Odell, but I'm Johnny Russell. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Keep watching sports. Celtics, not the Bruins, Patriots.